What is up, everybody? I welcome the eternally disappointed back to the show. It is Monday, the 30th of October. Tomorrow's Halloween, so hopefully you're not a bad adult like I was for a long time and never had candy at my house and a bunch of fucking kids showing up. Otherwise, I hope you guys go out and enjoy yourselves. I hope you had a good weekend, didn't party too hard. I actually just finished doing a little bit of pre-jiu-jitsu cardio on the bike here. Going to go head to class here in about the next 20 minutes. So just wanted to give a quick rundown of what went on this weekend, starting with Thursday night. Buffalo holds on to the victory against Tampa. And right on cue, all the Buffalo fans start celebrating like they did something special. Tampa's a bad team. Baker Mayfield is not worthy of being a number one draft pick. I will say this about Baker, though. When I think he's on his 9th offensive coordinator, so that's hindered his growth a little bit. But, Buffalo in that game had signs of showing like good consistency on drives or certain things here and certain things there. And then it just ends up not panning out. Drive killing penalties and turnovers. Once again, the perfect recipe written by a bad coach. And that's what they have, is a bad head coach. He's good enough to get them from the laughing stock to at least a decent, team, but they're not going anywhere, and people need to stop overreacting over one victory over, the hapless Buccaneers. But that seems to be the theme of this year. You could look at this week. I said the Rams are a garbage team. Sean McVay is a flash in the pan that the league is caught up to, and Cowboys fans are going nuts because they kicked their ass coming off a bye at home. If you're coming off a bye, playing at home against a team that you have levels of talent more than, you should be up 33-3 at halftime. And so for Cowboys fans, congratulations, you finally beat a team with 3 wins on the season. But you're frauds just as much as the Miami Dolphins are frauds, a team that hasn't beat anybody with more than 2 wins this year. And just like the Chiefs are frauds, a team that has one victory over a team with a winning record, which was week 2 against the Jaguars. So, a lot of frauds going to play each other soon. The Eagles, I think the Eagles are a good team. They have to cut the fucking turnover shit, though. You can't have as many turnovers as you do and expect to beat Dallas twice this year, probably 3 times because you'll see them in the playoffs. Philly can overcome a lot of their mistakes, but you should just not have those mistakes. You can't fumble the ball on the 1-yard line. Can't have unnecessary penalties. You can't give up sacks in an inopportune time. Philly has the talent and the coaching to overcome those mistakes against mediocre and bad teams, but against good teams, you're going to end up paying for it, or against a bad team that's having a good day, like what happened against the Jets. So I know I summed up a lot there, but basically, Miami beats New England. Who cares? That was my garage door light going off, which I had to close the door, and I forgot to set it to stay on, which is fine. So Miami beats New England, but they should have. Dallas beats LA. LA is not a good team. They're very overrated. They should start a fire sale now. The Chiefs lose to the Broncos because the Chiefs have been getting by barely against bad teams, and it finally reared its ugly head and reality hit him in the face, which is the worst thing for the Dolphins. Second time in 3 weeks, the Dolphins are going to have to play a team that just lost a game they shouldn't have and is now going to take the Dolphins very seriously, and it's going to be a personal game. So that one's going to be really interesting. I will say congratulations to Tennessee. Finally got a quarterback that could throw a couple of passes up there, or a couple of touchdown passes. Finally have a quarterback that remembers that DeAndre Hopkins is on your team. I know a lot of people weren't too much of a fan of them trading up for Will Levis in the second round. I didn't think it was a bad pick. Drafting rookie quarterbacks, it's too many teams make the mistake of going after like the name instead of the player. In reality, even when you get a player and you're really excited on them, like I would never start a rookie the first game in the NFL. I would never start a rookie before the end of the first half of the season. But if you could, you push it all the way to maybe the last 2 or 3 games. Because if you're drafting a rookie quarterback, you're obviously not a good team. in the sense of drafting a rookie to be a starter soon. You're not a good team, otherwise you'd already had your quarterback. Even if you won the Super Bowl and they retired, like now you don't have a good team. When Peyton Manning retired, the Broncos didn't have a good team afterwards. So you need quarterbacks to sit back and sit from the sidelines and have a veteran go out there and do the snaps and then talk to them on the sidelines about what they see, what they don't see. They need to see the speed of the game on the sidelines before they get thrown out there. And I think that hinders a lot of people and it really screws them up. I think that you get people like Lawrence and Burrow who are kind of thrown in there, but for those guys, like, there's so many dudes that they start, hey, you're a rookie, you're starting day one, and you can tell these guys aren't ready. I thought Jordan Love would actually be a lot better than he is sitting behind Rodgers for so long, but Rodgers sat behind Favre for so long, and he became great. Brady didn't play his first season. Patrick Mahomes played the last game of his first season. There's more than just throwing a guy out there, because that you get the Baker Mayfield effect. Because you start a quarterback that you drafted as a rookie in a hurry, and then they go out there and they have a bad season. Well, you're going to get rid of the offense coordinator and bring another one in. So now the guy has to learn a whole new system. And then he's trying to learn that system. It's not working. They get rid of the coach and the coordinator, bring in two new guys. So now you have two new systems to understand. And they're like, this guy sucks, so they get rid of you. So now you go to another team with another system. It's the Baker Mayfield effect. And it happens to a lot of people. And in reality, if you look at what Will Levis did, if you look at Purdy last year, and Purdy's having some troubles the last few weeks, but he'll figure those out. He's having a little bit of a run of bad luck, but he'll straighten that out. I think he's also partially kind of injured, and he probably came back from his UCL injury too soon. But if you look at the way Levis played, he played like a guy who didn't have trouble adjusting to the speed of the game because he's been sitting there on the sidelines watching it. And he looked phenomenal. Is he going to look like that every week? Probably not. I hope so for my son's sake. But probably not. He's going to have to come a back to earth meeting soon, and have a bad game. But once again, it's like Titans fans are super excited. They think, we found the quarterback of the future. Like, it's one game. I don't understand how people overreact so much. That's why nobody likes Cowboys fans, because these fucking idiots lose in the playoffs in the wild card game, and they're like, we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, and they won't shut the fuck up about it. And Dolphins fans are just as insufferable, especially when they have a good team. When Miami has a bad team, you don't hear shit about them. But when they have a couple of players and they win a few games, like, oh my God, they never stop, and it's so annoying. Like, between Miami, Dallas, and Miami, Dallas, and Kansas City, they have one win over a team with a winning record. Like, shut the fuck up. When you finally start beating people, you can say something. But until then, keep your mouth shut. And Buffalo fans are the same way. Buffalo fans need to understand that a win over Tampa, barely beating them, holding off a Hail Mary that actually hit the ground, which apparently means they didn't learn their lesson on how to play Hail Marys when they gave up the fucking Hail Murray to Kyler Murray, which once again is reflective of a bad coach. Bills fans need to shut up too. We're not going anywhere. We probably won't make the playoffs because I think the Jets will get second place in the division, but that's just me. But it's just insufferable, and the Cowboys beat two really bad teams in Los Angeles, and their fans will not shut the fuck up about it. And it makes them insufferable. So it's just going to make it that much better when they get their asses kicked by Philadelphia. But Philly, you just can't have the turnovers that you have seemingly every week. You can't do that against Dallas. You need to sit back and wait for Dallas to give you those turnovers. And I think Kansas City is going to get exposed against Miami. I think they lost to Denver, and everyone's going to say, they didn't take them serious. Well, they're going to take Miami seriously. And I think Miami, even though I don't think they're that good, I think Kansas City's overrated as well. So there's really only Philadelphia and Baltimore are the two really consistent teams this year. Even Pittsburgh has more consistency, surprisingly. And so do the Jaguars. Everyone else is very fraudulent. It's a very weird season. It's a very weird polarized league where you have a bunch of teams with good records, like really good records, and really bad records. But half the time they play, the team with the really bad record wins. It's super weird. It's super parodied. It's super polarized. It makes it a little more interesting, except when you have idiot Cowboys fans who won't shut up about beating a bunch of teams that are vying for a top 10 draft pick. Same with the Dolphins. On to the boxing news with Ngannou and Fury. I don't understand why people, and even MMA fans, don't realize how good of boxers mixed martial artists are. The biggest difference is in boxing, there's a lot of infighting, meaning you're working the body a lot from a close range, whereas in MMA, they'll clinch you and knee you to the body so you don't stay at that range for as long as you would in a boxing match. So I don't know why so many people thought Tyson Fury was just going to run through Ngannou. Ngannou isn't a polished boxer because he does rely a lot on his power, but he's good enough to beat most dudes in the world, especially at heavyweight, when heavyweights for any combat sport have the least amount of technique because they're so big, there's so few of them to train with that they need technique. They're usually training with smaller people and they can use their size and strength to beat them. I will say this, and I don't really have a dog in the fight. I think boxing is fucking boring. I respect the shit out of the sport, but I don't watch it unless it's something I know a lot of people are going to talk about and I can talk about on this. But Tyson Fury is a dirty fucking fighter. And this is what I mean. If I was the referee, I would have deducted points from that guy every round for timidity. And what I mean by that is, when you go to hug somebody in boxing and you're going to clinch up to them so they can't hit you, that's when you're getting punched and you need a break. He does that shit on offense, where he throws 2 punches and then he hugs you. And the announcers sit there and say it's so that he can put his weight on you and tire you out. Which, if that's the case, I don't know why Ngannou's holding him up. I saw Ngannou double underhook the dude. Like, I'll just put my arms down and let you fall. So if the referee's saying break and we're sitting here chest to chest, like, I'm not going to waste my energy clinching you up. But that's a bullshit move, man. Is this boxing or is this hugging? Like, I understand if you get rocked and you're like, oh, fuck, I got to grab this dude before he hits me some more. But if you're just clinching people to be offensive so they can't do anything back after you've hit them, that's a bullshit move. And I wouldn't put up with it if I was a referee. Now, that being said, boxing is about as corrupt as the United States is. So the refs are in it, the judges are in on it. And Ngannou clearly won that fight. And the thing about boxing is there's so many rounds, it's hard to remember. Like, which rounds did he take again? He took 2, 3, he dropped in the third, he took 5, 6. Like, it's easy to remember MMA. They won 1 and 3. He won. Hamzat won rounds 1 and 3 against Usman. He won the fight. It's stuff like that, but boxing is corrupt as hell. It's always been corrupt as hell. Eventually, when Dana White goes away, mixed martial arts will be really corrupt. It's partially that way anyway, with idiots like Paddy Pimblett getting victories that they shouldn't get and stuff like that, but that's a completely different tangent I'll go on one day. But that being said, I don't know why people think that MMA fighters can't compete with boxers. Like, I knew McGregor was going to be able to compete with Mayweather. It's not that much different. There's a little bit of this and that and a little bit of weird positioning. Boxers do a little bit better of not getting hit, but they're also wearing bigger gloves. And I've sparred professional boxers, and you have them in a good position, like, oh, I'm gonna fucking nail this dude. And for some reason, they're just able to sit there and move their gloves in a way that you just barely miss them. So there is talent there, but you'll see. Jorge Masvidal is 40 years old, and he's going to do a professional boxing match. And watch how good he looks. Like, there's no celebrities calling Jorge Masvidal out because he will fuck them up. So, congratulations to Ngannou. He probably made $10 million at least, maybe $50 million. Congratulations to boxing for getting away with being corrupt. And congratulations to Dana White for looking like an asshole. But I respect Dana White. Even though I know he's full of shit half the time he talks, the dude brought the UFC to where it is now. It's like Lars Ulrich of Metallica. Like, you may not have to respect some of the things that he does, but look at what he made the band. Same with Dana White with the UFC. And he does a lot of cool stuff for a lot of people. I'm from Boston. He's from Boston. When they had the Boston bombing, he went and paid a lot of money to help. He paid a lot of the medical bills for the people that were injured in the bombing, so you can't really shit on Dana that much. I'm really interested this week in the Chiefs game with the Dolphins. I don't really care about Philly and Dallas. I think it doesn't really matter. They have to play again. Adjustments will be made, probably be injuries. They're going to go 1-1 probably. It's going to be something weird, and then the NFL is going to line them up for the playoffs. And then Almeida is fighting Derek Lewis this weekend. I'm actually interested in that. Jaitan Almeida was a welterweight in 2016, and now he's like the number 3 heavyweight contender. Kind of weird how that works. A little bit of Anthony Rumble Johnson in there. So that'll be actually an interesting fight. I thought Almeida and Blades was going to be up. I think Blades got hurt and Derek Lewis stepped in. And then next week we've got a pretty big UFC card coming up. I'm going to break that down a little bit. Pereira and what's his face? Yuri Prochazka are going at it. And then more importantly, I want to see how Sergey Pavlovich looks. I'm impressed with this guy. He's got some big power. When you look at his face, he looks like he'd be a chubby guy, but he's actually not. He's big, thick, and lean. And he's an interesting contender in the heavyweight division. That dude has missiles in his hands, and that's going to be an interesting fight. So, I'm off to jiu-jitsu, and you motherfuckers stay frosty. Until next time.